They said he was guilty. But guilty of what? Before we continue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting tales. So that's the question that burned through the courtroom that day. The conviction didn't add up. The evidence was thin. The story, stranger than fiction. And yet there he was, Malik Turner, 18, convicted. Convicted in a way that shocked even seasoned lawyers. A conviction that didn't follow the rules. A conviction built on something else. Something darker. Because this wasn't just about one teenager. It was about power, control, and how the system bends when those in power want to bend. From the very beginning, the case against Malik was unusual. No fingerprints, no camera footage, not even a clear witness. Yet the gavel came down, the courtroom echoed, and Malik's life changed in a single strike. But here's the truth. The story wasn't over. Not even close. The day started normal. Clouds rolled in slow. A summer heat wave pressed down on the city. Malik had parked his car. Nothing unusual. Except, this wasn't any random space. The lot was his. Inherited from his uncle. Signed, sealed, official papers in his name. But the police didn't care. Not yet. Sirens. Flashing lights. 2 cruisers box him in. Move the car. The officer's voice was sharp. Authoritative. Malik looked up, confused. This is my lot. His words were calm. The officer smirked. Not today. You're trespassing. The crowd gathered. Phones up. Everyone watching. The second officer pointed at the tow truck idling nearby. This car is leaving one way or another. Malik's hands tightened around his keys. He felt the eyes on him. The weight of humiliation pressing down. But he wasn't backing down. The case against Malik was already strange. But what happened that day made it worse. Report after report. They didn't match. Officer Sloan wrote that Malik refused to leave private property. But it wasn't private. It was his. Another officer claimed Malik acted hostile. But body cam footage showed him calm. Almost too calm. Even the tow order had inconsistencies. Filed before the police even arrived. As if they planned it. And when the paperwork reached court, the judge waved it through. Just like that. The inconsistencies piled high. Too many to ignore. But ignored they were. And Malik? He became the villain in a story where he was the victim. The courtroom was packed. Reporters whispered. Spectators leaned forward. Judge Daniel Whitaker sat high on the bench. Silver hair. Piercing eyes. A smirk that never left his face. The prosecutor's voice boomed. They painted Malik as reckless, disrespectful, dangerous. The public defender tried to push back, but her voice cracked, her notes scattered. She wasn't ready for this fight. Malik sat there, hands clenched, eyes burning. Every inconsistency should have freed him. Every hole should have shattered the case. But none of it mattered. The conviction rolled through like thunder. But then, everything shifted. Just as the officers prepared to tow Malik's car, he stepped forward, reached into his pocket, pulled out a folded document. The deed. Signed. Stamped. Official. Gasp spread through the crowd. The officer froze. Tow driver's jaw dropped. This is my lot, Malik said again. This time louder. This time undeniable. The power shifted instantly. From the badge, back to him. And for the first time, the officers realized they weren't in control. They were exposed. But here's the thing. Instead of backing down, the officers doubled down. They radioed in backup. They claimed Malik forged the deed. They whispered about ongoing investigations. The crowd shouted. Phones recorded everything. The footage went viral. But by the time it hit court, the narrative had changed. Judge Whitaker dismissed the footage as inflammatory. The prosecutor called it out of context. And Malik? He became the criminal again. The truth bent, twisted, rewritten. But how far could they bend it before it snapped? Malik's father, Jared Cole, stepped into the room. Not just any man. A DOJ agent. Tall, broad. His presence alone shook the air. He spoke quietly at first, but his words cut sharp. "You're convicting my son without cause." The judge smirked. The prosecutor shuffled his notes. The officers avoided his eyes. But Jared wasn't backing down. He had files, evidence, connections they didn't want exposed. Every whisper hinted at something bigger, a setup, a cover-up that went deeper than anyone realized. And Malik? He wasn't just fighting for his car. He was fighting for his life. The gavel came down hard. Judge Whitaker leaned forward. "In light of new information, the court will reconvene tomorrow." The room erupted. Whispers turned to shouts. The cameras rolled. Malik turned to his father. "What does he mean? What's happening tomorrow?" Jared's jaw tightened. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Son, tomorrow the truth comes out, but it won't just clear your name. It'll destroy theirs." The lights flickered. The courtroom doors slammed shut. And just like that, part one ended. Suspense high, tension razor sharp, and a question burning in every viewer's mind. What secret did Judge Whitaker fear so much that he was willing to twist the law to bury it? The story spread like wildfire. Clips of Malik standing tall with the deed hit every corner of the internet. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. The headline read, "Teen outsmarts police with deed to entire lot." But not everyone was cheering. Behind closed doors, powerful people panicked. The judge, the prosecutor, the officers, all scrambling to explain how an open-end shut case had turned into a public embarrassment. And while the internet laughed, Malik's family prepared for the storm. Jared Cole, Malik's father, moved quickly. He wasn't just a father. He was an agent. He knew how systems worked and how they broke. He opened a dusty file box from his home office. Inside, records, old reports, property disputes that never made sense. Each one tied back to the same name, Judge Daniel Whitaker. Jared flipped through pages. Contracts, handwritten notes, property transfers signed under shady circumstances. And then he found it, a document linking the judge's own son, Luke Whitaker, to the very lot Malik inherited. Luke had been arrested before, for theft, for fights, for drugs. But every time, charges vanished. And now, it made sense. The judge wasn't punishing Malik for a crime. He was burying him to protect his son. That night, Jared met with Malik's public defender. She looked exhausted, her suit wrinkled, glasses slipping down her nose. "You don't understand," she whispered. "They'll come after me if I push this too far." Jared slid the file across the table. "You think they aren't already after you?" She opened it. Her eyes widened. Page after page, proof of corruption. Her hands trembled. This could end his career. Jared leaned closer. It could end more than that. Morning came. The courthouse buzzed like a hive. Reporters crowded the steps. Cameras ready. Inside, Judge Whitaker's smirk was gone. His face pale, eyes darting, like a man who knew the walls were closing in. The prosecutor shuffled nervously. The officers avoided eye contact. Malik sat still, calm, but inside his chest thundered. The hearing began. Jared stood tall in the aisle. The public defender cleared her throat, and she dropped the first bomb. "Your Honor, we have evidence of prior misconduct by this very court." Gasps rippled through the room. The judge froze. "Explain yourself." She lifted the file, held it high. The defense intends to show that the arrest and conviction of Malik Turner were not only irregular, but directly tied to conflict of interest involving your son. The room exploded. Reporters shouted questions. The prosecutor stammered. The judge's gavel slammed down. Order. But order was gone. By evening, the story was everywhere again. Judge's son tied to illegal property seizures. Corruption in court? The police department issued a statement. Unfounded rumors. Baseless claims. But the internet didn't buy it. They demanded answers. And Malik? He felt hope for the first time. But Jared warned him, this isn't over. It's just starting. Because when powerful men are cornered, they don't surrender. They fight dirty. Late that night, A knock at the door. Malik froze. Jared moved first. Hand on his gun. He opened the door slowly. No one there. Just an envelope. Inside, one photo. A grainy shot of Malik walking home from school. On the back, 3 words written in red ink. Stay quiet, or else. Jared's jaw tightened. He looked at his son. This is their next move. Malik swallowed hard. They're watching me? Jared nodded. They're watching all of us. The next day's hearing promised fireworks. The defense prepared to expose the file. The judge prepared to strike back. But just as court was about to begin, the bailiff whispered something in the judge's ear. Whitaker's face drained of color. He slammed his gavel. This hearing is postponed indefinitely. Gasps erupted. Reporters shouted. The prosecutor stormed out. Malik turned to his father. What does that mean? Jared's face hardened. It means they're pulling strings. Bigger ones. Ones that reach higher than this courtroom. And as the doors shut, a shadowy figure stepped out from the back row. Luke Whitaker, the judge's son. Smug, grinning, watching Malik with eyes full of menace. The camera phones caught it. The internet saw it. And the question burned hotter than ever. What power did Luke Whitaker hold that even a judge would risk everything to protect him? Luke Whitaker, 18, athletic, golden boy on the outside. But Malik knew that look. The smirk, the arrogance, the kind that said, I can do anything and no one will stop me. Luke leaned against the back wall, hands in his Letterman jacket, eyes locked on Malik. No words, no sound, just a stare. And Malik felt it deep in his chest. This wasn't just a feud. It was war. The internet dug fast. Old classmates, neighbors, anonymous accounts. Stories poured in. Luke caught stealing cars. Luke starting fights outside bars. Luke bragging about his father cleaning up his mess. Every post added fuel to fire. But strangely, each one vanished within hours. Deleted, scrubbed, erased. Someone powerful was pulling the strings. Jared's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. A gravelly voice spoke. Drop it. Walk away. Or you'll lose more than your case. The line clicked dead. Jared's hand shook as he lowered the phone. Not from fear. From anger. They think they can scare us. Malik asked quietly. Can't they? Jared looked at his son. They can try. The next day, Malik walked his car. Something fell off. A loose wire dangled near the tires. His gut twisted. Jared crouched low, eyes narrowed. It wasn't just a wire. It was rigged. Someone wanted your car to fail. Or worse. Malik's breath caught. Luke! Jared didn't answer. He didn't have to. That night, Jared confronted Judge Whitaker in the courthouse hallway. The place was empty. Lights flickered. You're burying my son to save yours. The judge's smirk returned. Cold. Sharp. You don't understand, Cole. Luke isn't the problem. He's the future. Protecting him protects the city. Jared's fist clenched. The law doesn't bend for your son. The judge leaned closer. The law bends for whoever holds it. Then he walked away. Slow. Confident. As if nothing could touch him. Hours later, Jared dug deeper into files. And he found something he never expected. Not just property deeds. Not just erase arrests. Bank records. Money transfers. Hundreds of thousands of dollars funneled through shell companies. And at the center, Luke Whitaker's name. This wasn't just about a stolen lot. This was about an entire network. Corruption. Money laundering. Crime hiding in plain sight. Malik stared at the evidence. This could take him down. Jared shook his head. No, son. This could take down all of them. The next hearing was set. The file ready. The truth about to explode. But just as Malik stepped into the courthouse, chaos. Reporters shouted. Cameras flashed. Officers rushed past. And then Malik saw it. His father, Jared Cole, on the ground, surrounded by EMTs. Barely conscious, Malik ran forward. What happened? A paramedic looked up. He was attacked. Someone wanted to silence him. Malik's world spun. The file clutched in his hand felt heavier than ever. The truth was there, but now he was alone. He looked up, and there, across the street, Luke Whitaker watched, grinning, untouchable, and Malik knew the next move was his. Jared lay in the hospital. Machines beeped, bandages wrapped tight, eyes barely open. "Don't stop, son," he whispered. "Finish what I started." Malik nodded, jaw tight, fists clenched. He wasn't just defending his name anymore. He was carrying his father's fight. The courthouse was buzzing. Reporters, protesters, whispers of corruption flooding every corner. Malik walked in alone, deed in one pocket, files in the other. The public defender met him at the doors. "You're ready for this?" Malik's eyes burned. "I have to be." The judge entered, his robe heavy, his smirk forced. Court is now in session. The prosecutor cleared his throat, but before he could speak, Malik's defender stood. "Your Honor, today we present evidence of conspiracy, not just against Malik Turner, but against the very idea of justice." Gasps. Reporters leaned forward. Cameras flashed. She opened the file. Read the names. Showed the bank records. Every dirty deal. Every erased arrest. And then, she said it. "The evidence ties directly to Luke Whitaker, your son." The room erupted. Shouts. Chaos. The judge's face turned red. Fists slammed the bench. "This is outrageous." But it was too late. The truth was out. The prosecutor demanded a recess. The judge stormed out. But outside, the crowd wasn't waiting. They chanted. They filmed. They demanded resignations. The internet lit up again. Corruption exposed. Judge's son at center of criminal network. And for the first time, the Whitakers weren't untouchable. They were cornered. That night, Malik left the courthouse. The air heavy. The city restless. And there he was, Luke Whitaker, blocking the path. "You think this is over?" Luke sneered. "You think a few papers change anything?" Malik didn't flinch. "They change everything." Luke stepped closer. "Without my father, I'd still walk free. You can't stop me." Malik pulled out his phone. The live stream was already rolling. Thousands watching. Luke didn't know. "Say that again," Malik said calmly. Luke's smirk faltered, but it was too late. The world heard him. The mask was off. Days later, Judge Whitaker resigned in disgrace. Luke faced charges. The network unraveled. Malik stood outside the courthouse, not as a convict, not as a victim, but as a survivor. He looked into the cameras, his voice steady. "They tried to bury me. They tried to twist the truth. But power doesn't erase justice. It only delays it." He paused, eyes sharp. "And remember this, sometimes the ones with the least power hold the strongest truth." Dear viewers, what do you think? When those in power bend the system for themselves, how should ordinary people fight back? Because as Malik's story shows, the law isn't always blind. But the truth has a way of breaking through. If you found this story interesting, make sure you subscribe, comment, like, and share for more.